Hello and welcome along to the latest production here on Andy Holdings at speedfigures.co.uk via YouTube. Andy here looking ahead towards Royal Ascot this coming week, predominantly taking a look at the 2-year-old races. We've got some really exciting action throughout the course of the week. And Tuesday kicks off with the traditional curtain raiser with regards to the 2-year-olds in the shape of the Coventry Stakes, which is the second race on day one. And this year's renewal looks quite a hot little contest. Obviously, we've got a horse of Wesley Ward's, a little bit of a surprising one in many respects, running here in the shape of Coffee Maker, who was very impressive when winning on her debut. Now, that was 4.5 furlongs. She's stepping up here to 6 furlongs. So I'm not totally sure how she'll get on, if I'm being honest. But the market's certainly speaking very favourably. She's been well back from double figure quotes into around about the 7-2 mark. I do think that's a little bit short myself. And of course, she's gone and bagged at stall number 3, which traditionally speaking isn't necessarily that favourable right on the far side of the course. Usually you want to be middle to near side in the 2-year-old contest, particularly in the early part of the week on decent ground. It looks to be where the pace is as well. You have a look at the front runners. Predominantly are drawn towards the near side. Gisborne is in the middle. He's drawn in stall 7. You've also got pace courtesy of the gatekeeper as well in stall number 12. The one I quite like here is Debab, who's drawn in stall 11, right in the middle of the pack. I was very impressed with the way he won at Leicester on his debut. He was certainly backed as if not defeat was out of the question, but he was very strongly supported with a strong run impending, and it certainly materialised. I like the way he quickened from the 3 to the 1, got there quite readily, and he won in a very fast time. Fastest time we've got for horses over 6 furlongs on this side of the Irish Sea. Rob Hovlin, who rode him on that occasion, takes the ride, and he's very similar to Calix in many respects, who just had the one run prior to coming to the Raw meeting, only a week away or 2 weeks away, and then he went on to win the Coventry Stakes. So about around about 9 to 1, 10 to 1 at time of recording. He looks a fair each way shout in the Coventry Stakes. The rest of the week, a little bit more tricky because, as you could well imagine, the draw is going to play a huge aspect. We've got two races for you on the Wednesday, 2 on the Thursday, 1 on Friday, and one on Saturday. So we need to look at the first race, see where they're drawn, and take a view from there. So these are just a few ideas that I've got with regards to juveniles for the rest of the week. At the Queen Mary, the first race on the Tuesday, we've got a real warm order here in the shape of Twilight Gleaming from the Wesley Ward stable. Obviously, confidence will be increased if Wesley does the business with Coffee Maker. So definitely worth keeping an eye on this individual who's had the 2 runs, so experience a little bit more plentiful. And I like the way she got the job done second time, stayed on really strongly. And she was also good in a recent trial at Keeneland when she worked on the first time on the grass. I thought she was very impressive that day, did it all in hand. And I think it's interesting that she comes here rather than Ruthin, who was the anti-post favourite of this race. Wesley's decided to run here instead of the anti-post market leader. So a little bit of a change around there. I think that needs to be respected. Of the English contingent, I like the way Desert Dream has been winning. She was very good on debut at Newmark, and she followed that up next time out, despite pulling very hard in the early stages of that race. She's obviously got a very good engine. And another one at a fair enough price would be Illustrating, who won quite well, albeit at lowly level at Catterick. She clocked a good time that day. And Carl Burke, of course, is always respected throughout the Royal meeting with his 2-year-old. So she looks a very smart prospect in the making. So just a few to conjure with there. Later on in the day, the 5:35 is the Windsor Castle. Again, another race which sees a Wesley Ward individual towards the top of the market in the shape of Ruthin, the aforementioned Ruthin, who was favourite for the Queen Mary. She was also very impressive on her debut, and she was put through her paces recently at Keeneland in a nice little breeze that day with a stable companion of some repute. I've got a sneaky feeling that Cadamosta might go elsewhere. He's one of the anti-post favourites for this week, but I did notice that Ryan Moore, who's jocked up to ride Armour for the Al Shakab Racing organisation, has now been deputised by Pat Dobbs. So that very much suggests to me that Ryan Moore wants to get on a decent individual from the Ballydoyle stable for the Norfolk, and that one seems to be Cadamosta. He looks as though he's probably their best 5 furlong sprinter so far this season, albeit he's just had the one run at Dundalk, but he was very impressive on the iron and the numbers that day. He's one to consider. And there is one at a big price as well, also called Corker, who comes out quite a good race at York on his debut back in May. He finished an eye-catching second to a horse called Project Dante, who was very, very, very well found in the market. That horse runs in the Norfolk later on in the week. And then Carl Berkshire went to Carlisle next time out and got the job done in pretty ready fashion. So he's one of those shouldn't be underestimated. And I say bookmakers have got him in and around the 25 to 1 mark, which looks at this very, very early stage a big price. But like I said, there's quite a few of these races, including the Windsor Castle, where there's likely to be a maximum field, whereby we need to know the draw and the ground, because obviously there's 1 or 2 showers forecast for later in the week. On to the Thursday then. Probably my chief strategy on a betting angle of the week would be the aforementioned Armour. We've only seen him once, but he was very impressive on the eye and on the clock when he won at Doncaster on debut. Only 4 runners, but the 2 horses he beat that day have both gone on to frank the form subsequently, Chow Prince and El Caballo. And I like the way he pricked his ears as well in the last furlong, looking as though he got plenty left to offer. And this has been the target ever since. As I said, Ryan Moore was down to ride him, but Pat Dobbs is deputising, because I've got a feeling that Ryan Moore will be booked to ride Cadamosta, who will obviously be a very strong fancy. And Wesley Ward brings over a couple here who have been very well found in the market. Lucci, who was impressive on his debut, and also Nakatomi, who won on the dirt first time out. So I think this is the toughest race of the week at this very moment in time. Around about 5-6 to 1 the field, but I'm around about the 12-14 to 1 mark. If he runs, which I think is going to be the case, and he gets a decent draw on the day, I could see him certainly outrunning his odds. On to the Friday, the Albany Stakes. Again, another race where we've got a very wide open field to it. There's been a real groundswell of opinion and a lot of love for a horse called Hello You, who won at Wolverhampton in a very fast time. She looks one of the better prospects, trained by Rafe Beckett. Also, a nice performance first time out by Floaters, who did everything wrong at Goodwood, yet still managed to pull through and win quite easily for the Simon and Ed Walker stable, and Frankie Dettori's been booked. And the other one I quite like as well, if it comes over, is Donica O'Brien's horse, Elliptic. She got beat last time out at the Curragh, but the ground was soft, and she came up against a very good colt of Ger Lyons, who was just a little bit too hot to handle on that occasion. But already the form of that race has worked out well. The third horse, who was well beaten on that occasion, won this afternoon at Gowran Park. So, as I said, if she comes over Elliptic, I think on better ground she could run a nice race. And probably the strongest view I've got of the whole week, or the best 2-year-old I think we're likely to see all week, runs in the first race in the Chesham on Friday. A horse of Aidan O'Brien's called Port Lonsdale. He was massively impressive on the clock when he won first time out at the Curragh. Strode majestically clear late on to win by 5.5 lengths, and as I said, a very good time. His sectionals were good as well compared to the horse of Ger Lyons is on the same card, and of the older horses as well. So I think we're dealing with a very special colt there in the shape of Point Lonsdale, and he should really be good enough to beat New Science from the Godolphin setup, who won very readily first time out at Yarmouth, but the time figure wasn't in the same league as Port Lonsdale. So anything in around 7-4, 6-4, or just odds against really on the day would be deemed a good bet for Port Lonsdale. Okay, there we go. There's a quick spin through of my early thoughts anyway for Ascot. Just a few names to conjure with based on their performances, their work on the clock, and the kind of horses that usually win these 2-year-old races. I like to be on horses that come off the speed and have shown a propensity to come through late on rather than make all the running. I think very hard for 2-year-olds to make all the running on the straight track as a rule here at Royal Ascot. As I said, there's a quick insight for the juveniles. We'll be doing a few more previews as the week develops, as we get more of a view on what's running, what's declared here, then everywhere, and of course the draw. So stay tuned, as per usual, for all the latest updates here on our YouTube channel. So until later on in the week, it's a very goodbye for me for now.